So at the start of every level, there will be a loading screen now, which is picked from one of our random pictures that we've selected, and also give you a tip in the top left. Here you see one of our overviews that were created as well, so based on some feedback from last sprint, you guys would love to have some overviews, so here one is, and these will play at the start of each level.
I am detecting enemy presence up ahead. You remember where the trigger is, right? Don't forget I modified your barrel to shoot larger explosive projectiles too. Try the secondary trigger to fire them.
And there we go, that's Shadow giving us some tutorial elements there, because level 2 is the level that we choose to teach the player about shooting, and the different enemies that are going to be ahead of them.
When you come in range of an enemy, I'll be sure to let you know with a red signal.
And there we go, that's Shadow just teaching us when we're in range of an enemy, she'll flash red. And that just gives the player another hint about where the enemies are and if they're going to get attacked. So you may have noticed this laser pointer that we've got from our gun now. So this was based on some feedback from last week about people not really knowing exactly where they're shooting. So to help the players out, they've got this lovely long laser pointer here that you can see will also turn red when we're facing enemies. So when you hover over an enemy, we'll get a red line instead of a green line, and this will just help us know that we're on target or not on target. So another thing from last sprint is that previously we had the line traces in to show the I guess the explosion distance, but now we've created this lovely VFX that will expand to the maximum explosion distance that the secondary weapon will deal, and then from there, the player can then see that anything within the area will be destroyed. So let's carry on and try that again, shall we?
Try shooting those barrels at the end of the hallway. They might drop some resources we can use.
Perfect. So we have been working on a new movement system this sprint. Sadly, it's not been able to get it into the build at this point in time, but hopefully shortly into next sprint we'll get that done, and then that will help us with the game, making the gameplay feel a lot more fluid and less janky than it was before. So let's move on and kill these dudes. You may have noticed the point light that we've added to the enemies just to make them really clear exactly where they are, especially in the dark areas. And based on, again, some feedback from last week, lighting has been improved in some areas. There are areas that we'd like to keep fully dark just to create some suspense gameplay, but for most areas there is a soft light above most of the room, just to help the player know where they're going. So hopefully that is a lot better this sprint, and that is enjoyed more than what it was before. So let's carry on. This sprint I can actually ramble on about my variables too that I forgot to, well, I didn't get the chance to do sadly last sprint. So I've been doing a lot of balance in this sprint, so a lot of the enemy, or all of the enemies now, are balanced to be a tiny bit more difficult than what they were before, but not insanely difficult, and we've managed to ramp up the pace as the game goes on. So in level 4 these enemies are going to be a lot harder to kill than they are now. But to counteract that, obviously the player will have upgraded their equipment by then, so it will be sort of an even playing field, let's say. But it is actually up to the player what they want to upgrade, so I'm going to make sure I get enough salvage here from these barrels to make sure I can get an upgrade at the end. And then I'll show you what we've been doing in that area. So we're really happy to get this, I guess, extra mechanic in that wasn't in the brief originally.
Looks like these are the pads I can hack into to give you an upgrade. I hope you collected enough salvage. Try walking over one.
I just have connected enough salvage, so we have the lovely perfect amount now. So here we can see the different colors for the different upgrades. So we've got the secondary weapon upgrade, the primary weapon upgrade, and then the dash upgrades. So as previously mentioned in the last sprint, these upgrades carry on into the next level. So if the player had really loads of salvage, they could buy maybe all of these. But usually we've balanced it so the player has to make a choice of what they want. So they won't always be able to buy every upgrade. It might only be 2 or 1. So it's balanced in that aspect where if the player's been exploring a good amount, they'll probably be able to buy 2. If they haven't really been exploring at all and destroying barrels, it's only going to be about 1 that they'll be able to upgrade. And if they've been getting all the barrels, then they have probably a high chance of being able to upgrade all 3. So there's, I guess, it's the player's choice whether they want to carry on, keep exploring and find all the barrels and get loads of salvage, but they also have to get lucky at the same time because the salvage is randomly dropped. So let's go with the primary weapon. Perfect. So now the gun shoots a lot faster than what it did before, and will also do some more damage. So that will help us with the enemies in the next level. Speaking of enemies in the next level, level 3 is where we introduce the player to the moving enemies, and you'll also notice in a second when we load in the new meshes for the enemies. So I can see one trying to run towards me, so I'm actually going to skip this cutscene, and here you see the guys.
Turning into a maze, there is many routes to take. You need to find me a terminal so I can open the door at the end of this room. Watch out though, there are more defenses in your way.
So there we go, another heads up from Shadow here, and here we see one of their moving enemies shooting at us. So again, these are balanced to give the player a nice challenge. It's not just going to be static enemies that are going for them, so they obviously can shoot a lot faster, as you may have seen, but at the same time they are a lot weaker than the turrets. So I believe that's mostly what we've done this sprint. There obviously has been a lot of balancing and just general bug fixing that we've been doing, along with getting in the final assets for the other levels and a general UI overhaul. So as I said, it's been a great sprint this week for this team. A nice sort of a finishing off for the Christmas break. As mentioned at the beginning, some final things to do, and then we should have landed this game quite nicely. So I hope you've enjoyed our gameplay showcase, and thank you very much for watching.